Well, welcome. I'm Chaplain Bill Ferris here at Bailey Chase. And I want to talk to you about Hebrews chapter 12, the great cloud of witnesses. And one of the great things that keeps us from living the life that Jesus wants us to live is this idea that we want to belong. We want to have a tribe. We want to have others that are on this journey with us. We want their approval. We want their to be liked, and we want their validation of us and our choices in our lives. We seek that very much. It's a big part of just basic human psychology. And yet it hinders us from the kingdom. And I'm going to give you an answer. So, Hebrews chapter 12, it says, therefore, and we'll come back to what precedes this, chapter 11, the hall of faith, right? What faith is and how it was demonstrated by many Bible characters before us. But it says, therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles. And I'm going to get to this idea of shame as a possible hindrance. So let us keep going. And let us run with perseverance, endurance, stick-to-itiveness, the race that is marked out for us, focusing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of our faith. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame. He was willing to face the shame and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinners. Remember, the crowd was against him, right? They were crucify him, crucify him, crucify him. So he was willing to scorn that shame so that we would not grow weary or lose heart. But one of the things that really entangles us from truly living out a life of faith is the idea that we want to belong. We want to be liked. We want approval. We do not want to be shamed or be mocked. And yet, in this world that we live in, many Christians are shamed and mocked and considered outdated and fuddy-duddies and whatever they might call us, depending on ways that we worship or thoughts that we have, and even just the way we think, right? What we look for morals and ethics and help with decision making. And so Jesus, as God, didn't care what anybody thought. Why? Woe unto you, Pharisees. You're a bunch of vipers. He didn't care what they thought. He called them out for what they were, right? And yet we want to belong. We want to be liked. We want to be approval, and often we are not courageous enough to say, woe unto you, vipers, you Pharisees. Right? How do we get the courage to do that? I'm going to submit it started with the verse 1. Since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses. So let us go back to chapter 11. And it talks about faith is confidence in what we hope for, and assurance or evidence or proof about what we do not see. It also helps with this idea of shame and belonging. Right? For Abel brought an offering that was accepted by God, but his brother's offering was not accepted. Thus, his brother killed him. Are we willing to face that shame? Noah built an ark. I'm sure he got lots of shame and mocking for as long as he was building this huge boat. Abraham left his home country to go to a place that was promised to him that he didn't even know where he was going. Sure, he got mocked. He then was willing to be tested by God and take his son up the mountain to sacrifice his son. Are you kidding me? Sure, he probably mocked himself. Why do I believe in this God that's testing me so? And had no idea that it was a vision about Christ on the cross. Joseph faced a lot of shame, told his dreams to his brothers, who mocked him and threw him in a pit and eventually sold him into slavery, and went to Egypt. And yet, by interpreting Pharaoh's dreams, he was able to save so much grain at a time of famine that he saved lives, or at a time of plenty that he saved lives during a time of famine. It was worth it. And let's also look at Moses. Moses' parents were able to have faith, kept him alive, and then put him in a little ark, sent him down the Nile, risking his life with crocodiles. And yet Pharaoh's daughter picked him up, and she took him in and raised him as his own. And so for 40 years he lived like a prince of Egypt, with all the pleasures of royalty. And yet he was willing to give all that up to be considered a Hebrew like the fellow slaves. Thus he was willing to be shamed. But it all worked out in the end, as he then was chosen by God to lead his people out of slavery into the promised land, or at least to the doorstep of the promised land. He, we see in verse 26, regarded disgrace for the sake of Christ as of greater value than the treasures of Egypt, because he was looking ahead to his reward. So going back to 12, how then can we not grow weary and lose heart? How can we deal with this great obstacle of not wanting to be shamed, of wanting to be belong, and to be liked and to seek approval? It's the hall of faith. Do we want to be approved by them? Do we want to be part of their tribe? Do we want to belong with them, such a great cloud of witnesses, and to add on to them thousands upon thousands of martyrs since then, and still coming, still to this day? That is our tribe. That is our band of brothers. If we're willing to accept it, that is where we belong. That is where we have approval, is with Christ and the suffering of the cross and the shame of the cross. With Moses and despising his own lifestyle that he grew up with Noah, and being willing to accept being mocked. Those are the people that are our tribe. Those are the people that we have a belonging with. Those are the people that we shouldn't let down by doing anything less than they did. That's how we not grow weary and lose heart. That's how we overcome the idea of being shamed or mocked or disliked or disapproved because we seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and we truly show the evidence of our faith. Amen.